Party people, what is up? Happy Story Kit Crush Friday. If you're new here on Story Kit Crush Friday, my friend Krystal and I work on crushing a story kit from Ali Edwards and getting things out of our baskets of shame and onto pages. So for my second layout using the Habit Story Kit, I said this last week, but I really wanted to tell a story about studying. If you are new here and you don't know this, I recently graduated from nursing school, and by recently I mean like in January. Like I just got my license a few months ago, and so I have lots of photos from nursing school, and I did a lot of documenting of like our pinning ceremony and all those celebration things, but that's not the reality of school, right? Like the reality of school is studying, is doing the work, is showing up every single time. And so I decided for this project to document some photos of myself and my classmates from nursing school, and you'll see that big pink thing that I will try to leave a link to in the description box is a template I made in Photoshop. So what I did was I opened a canvas that was 13 3/4 by 8 1/4, which is the length of 2 pages in my storybook album. And then I took some 4x4 squares and arranged it on that canvas so that when I printed my photos, I could have an idea of how I wanted to arrange them on my page. And then the other thing I did was I took a 3x4 journaling card and then I put it on a 6.75 by 8.25 canvas, took the opacity down to 45, and then printed 2 copies. And that's my background paper. So that diagonal paper is just a journaling card from the Habit Story Kit that I manipulated and played with a little bit to give me some background paper. And then you saw I took a little bit of Thermoweb purple tape and I stuck the pages together, because after I arrange my photos on my canvas, I am going to cut them apart, like cut the pages apart and punch them in the album. So I kind of needed to know where the seam was, and it was just easy for me to do it this way, and it worked out really well in the long run. So part of the reason why I had to arrange my photos in advance, so we're talking about the design part of this layout, because what I'm doing right here is really easy. I'm just sticking photos down. But the design part of this layout, that photo that I'm sticking down right now, it's going to serve as a pocket because my layout's going to be very photo heavy and I needed to leave myself space for a story. So I stuck down that photo first, only on 2 sides, and then I arranged the rest of my photos around it. So you saw me in the beginning drawing a line down my template. That's just so I knew where the midline was, because I printed the 13 by 8 on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. So obviously everything's compressed. So I needed to know where the midline was, so I remembered how I was arranging my photos. And it was also really important that one photo was completely on the page. So you'll see after the page is done, I have cut off things, I've cut things in half, things are crossing the seam, but I had to make sure that I had one photo that was dead center on a page to use as a pocket, which is why I needed a template. I will attempt to link this in the description box. So one, I'll try to link it as a PDF and a Photoshop file. So as a Photoshop file, you can use it as a layer template and then just put your photos in it. Or you can do what I do, which is just print it out and use it as a reference. I am 100% a hybrid girl. I'm not a digital scrapbooker. I like the feeling of texture of paper and embellishments on my pages. But it does help to just have some sort of reference, which is what I use that giant pink thing from. That's all I did. I didn't do anything crazy with it. So I hope that helped. So now I'm just arranging my photos on my canvas using the template, and I kind of reoriented myself on the page a little bit. So I'm just reconstructing what I did the first time. And so there's one photo of me. I wanted to make sure that there were photos more of my classmates than there were of me. And I had a lot of study photos to choose from. I guess 3 years of nursing school, being a scrapbooker. I was already a scrapbooker when I started nursing school. And we just can't help ourselves. We had to take pictures of everything all the time. So I had lots of photos from nursing school and from my study sessions to choose from. So it wasn't really hard to find one that would work. So now that I've stuck all my thing down, I'm testing out my journaling, and I'm realizing that my journaling is a little bit too big for what I wanted it to do, because you can't really see it here, but the journaling was crossing the seam of the page. So what I decided to do was just make my journaling a little bit smaller. And I should have known, my husband was hanging out with me while I was working on this page. And as soon as I printed things out, I realized that my journaling was too big, but I decided to try it anyway. But I had printed out my journaling 4x4, which is the same size as all my photos. So of course it's going to be too big for the pocket. So I just sized it down to 3.5 by 3.5, keeping in with the square theme, and it worked out perfectly. So now all we're doing is we're filling in these empty spaces. So tip for you, if you are like me and you struggle with using your journaling cards on pages, cut them up. They are yours and they're designed to serve you. They will do better serving you if you cut them up and put them on pages than they will sitting in your baskets of shame like I do. So I decided to pick 2 cards from the Habit Story Kit that were mostly like a repeated design. This doesn't work so well if you have a card with like a sentiment on it, but there's always cards in these kits that are repeated background designs. So I picked 2, that Starburst looking one and the black one that says Happy Mind, Happy Life over and over, and I'm just going to cut them up and use them to fill in the empty spaces on my canvas. So first I'm trimming down that purple tape because it was making it really hard for me to see. It's too soon to take it off because I haven't cut my layout down, and you see there's like jagged edges all over the place. Eventually we're going to deal with those and take those down, but first I'm just trying things out. So I'm putting down that black card in that empty space and I'm just using my ATG to stick it down. I alternate between using my ATG for this, and towards the end for the smaller pieces it was just easier to use a bit of wet glue versus using the like giant tape runner. So what I did was I stuck it down, and then off camera, because you can't see me right now, I used my scissors to just like sloppily cut the edge. And part of the reason why I cut the edge is because I want to be able to use more of that card over and over. Now I'm not worried about it being neat because I'm going to go in and use my paper trimmer to neaten up the edges. So it's just about taking off that excess card so I can have more of it to use later in the page. So if you're going to do something like this, don't worry about trimming things down to get straight edges because that's what paper trimmers are for. And I'm not handy with a scissor. Like I probably could have cut this straighter with a scissor, but I just figured I wasn't going to like stress myself out because I'm not handy with a scissor at all. And I knew if I tried my best to try to get this straight the first time, it would literally just make my blood pressure go sky high. So it just made more sense to me to stick all the bits and pieces down and then go back in later. And you'll see that as I cut my card up and it got smaller and smaller, I worked with the bigger pieces first, which just kind of made sense. Work with the bigger sections first and then work my way into the smaller corners when I had less and less of the card available. And I also tried to alternate where the black was and where the white was. So here you see I'm trimming down the card a little bit more to give me a straight edge. I am just making this work for me. So all those little janky bits that I hacked off, I just went ahead and trimmed them so I could have a straight edge, so it made sense to stick this in because by the time I was done with this, I had like maybe a tiny rectangle of each card left. And because I'm using the same cards with the same colors in the kit, it worked out perfectly. Now the orientation does matter because that black card does have text, so I can't put it in upside down, but the other card didn't have any orientation that mattered, so it's very easy to just fit it in. Now I'm taking off that purple tape and I'm going to cut my layout in half so you'll be able to see what it looks like in the separate pages, and then I just go ahead and trim each straight edge using my paper trimmer. So first I pull off that tape, I trim it right down the middle. The good thing was my papers were already cut in half, so all I'm cutting is the photo paper and the extra stuff, and then I go ahead and trim all the edges so I have some neat rectangles. And from here I'm going to switch to talk through mode so you can see how I embellish this page and how I finish this up. But this whole thing, I mean, this does take a little bit of time to play with the papers, but it was nothing terribly labor intensive. I just put on a TV show. My husband and I watched Supernatural while I worked on this, and it was a really fun way to get a lot of photos on a layout. If you're like me and you struggle with photo heavy layouts, this is a really easy way to get a lot of photos on it. So I'm going to stop talking now. We're going to switch and you'll see how I finish this up. Okay, friends, so I have finished assembling my piece and I am going to just work on embellishing and finishing up this page now. I love how this came out. I had the idea to do like a story about studying in nursing school. I don't think I'll be able to punch holes in this. I think this might be too thick I think my hole punch might just give up on me. So let's see if I can fit this in here. Oh, I can punch holes. Wonderful. Is this the right side? Okay, this is the right side. This has happened to me actually where I finished a page and I went to punch the holes and I punched the holes in the wrong side and it made me very sad because this does have a right and a wrong side. Sometimes my pages are interchangeable and I can punch holes wherever I want, but this does have a right side, like a correct side, so I wanted to make sure. Okay, perfect. There we go. All right, so that's what it's gonna look like in my book. I am super pleased about the direction this is taking. And then this is going to hang out right in here. And this has my story. So once it's in the book, oh, I'm hoping this will fit okay. So I might have to put it up like that. I'm gonna put a tab sticker on it regardless. And then once it's in the binder, I'll make sure that it fits in okay. And then I'm going to put the Habit acrylic piece down there. We're gonna add some number stickers, a few more embellishments, and that's gonna complete my page. So first things first, I'm going to find my tab stickers and put a tab on this, and I will come right back. All right, so I found my tab stickers. I think any of these colors would work. I think I'm gonna go with this story. I guess I'll go with the one that says this story. And I'm just going to pop it right at the edge of this and fold it in half. And so now I have a convenient little tab to pull out my journaling for the next time I want to read it. And I'll read it to you guys when I'm done, as I normally do. It's actually a shorter story, so it'll be pretty easy to read. And I love that it's just that tiny tab and it matches the colors of the spread. This is probably the only thing I'm using that's not in the Habit kit. Also, guys, are you proud of me for using my journaling cards? Cutting up cards might be like sacrilege for some people, but since I don't normally journal on my cards, part of the way I get them on my spread is to cut them up. And the good thing about being a hybrid scrapbooker is I have backups to all these cards. So if I do want to print it out and use it 4x6 or whatever size, I can. I can just go back into the digital files, print it out, and then I have a well, not brand new copy, but you get what I mean. Like I have another one that I can use. All right, so as far as embellishing goes, I was thinking about numbering the photos. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 photos, so I could number them. I might number them. We'll see how that looks if I do. We'll take out the numbers and see how that goes. Because unlike Krystal, I do not have my projects planned for this kit. I am making this up as I go. I knew I wanted to tell a story about studying, and that's all I had. So again, unlike Krystal, I do not have all my projects planned out. So I have no idea if I'm going to use these numbers on another layout. And instead of hoarding them forever and ever, I figure I might as well get them on this page. And since I have a page with multiple photos, which is not a design that I normally go for, I'm typically a like big photo kind of girl. Like I like a big 4x6 element. It is very rare that I have multiple photos on a page like this. And since I have multiple photos on a page and we're in the process of crushing the Habit story kit, this just seems like the, I think I'm gonna put that 5 here. This just seems like the perfect time to use up some of these numbers. And actually I kind of like I like the color. Okay, I think this is a go. I like these numbers a lot. All right, so now I have my numbers on the page. I think that looks super good. Wow, that makes me very happy. So after I put my numbers down, I think the only thing I might do is add like a bit of chipboard, or do I want to add one of these rubber circles? I like the idea of this rubber circle, but it doesn't fit. Well, I like the idea of the rubber circle, but the reason I'm not going to do that is because then I can only put one. I can put that You've Got This one there. And do I want to put this blue one that says Make It Happen? Well, I could put that blue one that says Make It Happen. Now, is that really busy? Actually, I don't think that's busy at all. All right, so that's what I'm gonna go with, because I don't think that looks terribly busy. All right, so we're gonna quickly stick down these numbers. Now, normally, I would staple these in with my tiny attacher, which I actually am going to do. We'll see if my tiny attacher can reach where I want to staple these in. We'll see if I can find my tiny attacher. There it is. Okay, perfect. So we'll see if my tiny attacher will reach. Okay. It reaches for the 1. We're good. Let's see. I mean, I will make quick adjustments to put my numbers in if it doesn't reach exactly where I had it before, just so I can staple these in. I prefer stapling these like kind of plasticky pieces versus, I prefer stapling them versus like using any sort of glue or adhesive, because then you have to, completely out of staples. Like I stapled 2 of them and I'm out of staples. So you guys, I will be right back. Gotta go find my staple refills and hope that they are somewhere where I know where they are. So be right back. Okay, so I found my tiny attacher. Just gonna go ahead and continue stapling on these numbers, and then I'm going to use some red line tape to adhere. All right, this 5, I have to make sure that this 5 does not go directly on the photo, because if it goes directly on the photo, it will interfere with my pocket, and I need my pocket to work. So I'm just being a little bit smarter about where I put that 5 to make sure that it doesn't interfere with the pocket that holds my story. So let's just test that out again. And perfect. It doesn't interfere with my pocket, and my pocket doesn't interfere with my holes. So that was the other thing that I was concerned about, is making sure that my my holes when I punched it in didn't interfere with my pocket. All right, I stapled that 2 on crooked. It is staying because I'm not pulling it out and putting holes in my page. So I said in the last time that I didn't have any more red line tape, but I got more red line tape. And red line tape, how many times can I say red line tape in a row? Let's see. But red line tape is my favorite way of adhering these rubber embellishments. When I mentioned red line tape in my last video, somebody said they use Ranger matte gel medium, which is not something that I've ever thought about using to adhere something on my page. I use gel medium for like collages and stuff like that, but I've never thought about using it as like a adhesive. So that's gonna be something that I have to try and see like how that holds up, because she said that she uses her matte gel to stick down rubber embellishments just like this one. But again, I prefer red line tape. I've never had a piece come off if I've stuck it down with red line tape. I've had pieces come off if I've used wet glue or any other adhesive, but I don't know anything about the matte gel. So that will be something that I try the next time. But let's just stick down this Make It Happen piece. And there you go, guys. This is my project for Story Kit Crush Habit, my second project. And I used up a lot of stuff on this page. I used the acrylic piece. One of my missions for Story Kit Crush is to make sure that I get the acrylic piece on my pages, because I always hoard it and I never use it. But I used the acrylic piece, I used some of the rubber embellishments, and I used the numbers, and I used 2 journaling cards. So there you go. That is my project. I love how this came out. I will quickly read you my journaling. So, really, really small type, but it says, do it over and over again until it becomes a part of who you are. Memorize the medications, then add the side effects and mechanism of action until you can spit it out in your sleep. Now add prioritization of care. 4 patients are dying on you and 1 is dying slightly faster than the others. Who do you save first? Drink your coffee that you smuggled into the library past the security guards. Cry into your cup, but drink it anyway. The odds of you sneaking in a fresh cup are very low. Rage about unfair questions. Read the rationales. Pretend to understand. You really have no idea what you're doing and you have no idea how you've made it this far. Then do it all over again. Carry your textbook until the weight feels familiar and you feel naked without it. Hold each other's hand after the exam and hold on tighter than tight when the grades are finally posted. This is your family and no one gets left behind. Hold study sessions that last for hours and well past your attention span. Dig deeper than deep. Cry again. Repeat. They will tell you that nursing school is the hardest thing you'll ever do, and they were right. But this habit, this repetition of what you know and what you don't know until it becomes what you do know, is what gets you to the other side. Head down, dear heart. You're making it happen. Which is part of the reason why I wanted to put the Make It Happen piece. And when I do my journaling, here's something that I do that I think you guys might find interesting, is I tend to look at the products I have and use that as a story spark. So with my process, sometimes I start with story, sometimes I start with products. But for this page, I had the idea, but I didn't have the journaling. So what I did was I looked at my chipboard and there's this sentiment, do it over and over again until it becomes part of who you are. And I typed that, and everything else just kind of happened. So Story Spark, if you have a photo or a project in mind and you don't have the words, look at the products that you plan on using and see if that gives you a lens and gives you a place to start your story. So that's all I have for you today for this edition of Story Kit Crush Friday. I love how this layout came out. This is one of my favorite things that I've made in a really long time, and I hope it inspires you to 1, get multiple photos on a page, 2, to document a habit, and 3, to just make a list style journaling. My journaling for this was not like an essay in typical Tashi form. It was a list that still felt really authentic. It felt a lot like my voice and still got the story told. So That's it. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you're so inclined. Let me know what you thought about the project in the comments. And don't forget to head over to Krystal's channel to see what she made this week and to see how she's crushing the habit kit. So, till next time, keep it crafty and have the very best day, and I will see you around.